Hi, my name is Laurie, and I struggle with bipolar disorder type 2 and borderline personality disorder. So, I want to talk about faith in God. When you are really struggling and your whole entire world is falling down around you, how do you have faith? And so, I want to tell you my story about Hebrews 11:1 and Hebrews 11:11, because when you hear the story, you're probably going to be like, how are you struggling in your faith right now? But I am. You know, my whole entire world has come down around me. My elderly mom died and I lived with her. Well, I miss her. And after my divorce and after my dad died, we kind of became partners in life, and we were there for each other and we helped each other. And because of mental illness, I haven't been able to work, and now I don't have the money to pay the bills. And I have enough money in the bank to last about another 6 weeks, and then I have no idea what I'm going to do. And yes, I've checked into low-income housing, and yes, I'm checking into getting a part-time job, but my psychiatrist and therapist both say it would be impossible for you to get a full-time job. You are not capable of that because of your illness. It's going to hold you back. And my therapist says, well, you can get a part-time job, but I just don't want you to get discouraged and disappointed if you get fired. And she said, because you might have to bounce around from job to job, because I don't know how well you're going to do because of your mental health. Well, that's discouraging, because, well, then how am I going to pay the rent? I have looked into everything that you can think of as far as like roommates, renting a room from somebody else. Like I'm doing everything that I know to do, everything that I'm capable of doing in between having to take mental health days. So I'm really getting discouraged and I'm really losing hope. And so I'm going to tell you this story of faith, because if you hear it, you might be thinking, are you crazy? Like, how can you not have faith? Like, you should know that you're going to be rescued and you're going to be okay. But when you're feeling the feelings of depression and grief and the fear of losing everything that you have, it is hard to hold on to that faith, even when God has obviously told you to do that. So about 2 years ago, I started seeing the number 111 and 1111 over and over and over again. Everywhere I looked, it became so often that I looked it up on my phone to see, what does it mean when you see the number 111 or 1111? Well, basically it means that your angels are trying to talk to you. In numerology, it's something to do with like the angels are trying to communicate with you. The angels are trying to let you know I think new beginnings or something. But I was like, well, is numerology really biblical? And it was a long time ago when I looked it up. So it was kind of like, oh, well, I don't know. And so I prayed about it and I said, God, if you're trying to talk to me, why would you talk to me through numbers when you know that I have absolutely no clue what these are or what these mean? And so I was really perplexed, but I kept seeing it. I asked my therapist about it. I asked my friend about it. And you could say, well, it's just because those numbers happen to be something that are, going to catch your eye. Well, I wasn't seeing 222 or 333, 444, 555. I was seeing 111, 1111 over and over. I mean, I would pause the TV. It would be on the first season, 11th episode. I would pause the TV and it was 1 minute and 11 seconds in. I would look at the clock, or I would grab my phone, or I would see an address, or it was everywhere, to the point where it was kind of freaking me out. So I would pray about it every once in a while, and I was like, what does this mean? Well, of all the weird things, and I know that this is a weird prayer, but I can be a weird person. I was really getting discouraged because it seemed like I had been living off of hope for years and years and years, and nothing was happening. And one day in my prayers, I said to God, Abraham and Sarah wanted to have a child, and you promised them that they would have a child. And they hoped and they hoped and they hoped, and nothing resulted. And I said, but eventually Sarah got to hold that baby. Eventually, they didn't have to live off of hope. Eventually, they got to hold that baby. Their dreams were realized. And I said, God, I need that so bad from you. I need to hold my baby, whatever that is. I need to hold my baby. I am so tired of living off of hope. So, sometime within the next 2 weeks, I was thinking of a Bible verse that I had in a card, and I couldn't remember the verse, so I asked Siri, like, where does it say this? Because I was trying to get the verse, correct or accurate. Well, it was Hebrews 1:11. Now, it still wasn't registering with me because it was Hebrews 11:1. It was Hebrews 11:1. So I started turning to Hebrews 11:1, and it wasn't clicking with me that this was the number because I kept saying it in my mind as 1:11 or 11:11, and that's how I was saying it. So nothing was clicking. I turned in my Bible, and at the very top of the page in really dark ink, it will have the numbers of the first verse on that page, and then to the right, it will have the numbers of the second verse on that page. Well, it said 1:11. And as soon as I saw that in bold print, I thought, oh my goodness, this is it. This is what 1:11 has meant, Hebrews 11:1. So I read the verse, and it says, faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. And I thought, okay, so God is telling me that I need to have faith. And I thought, you know what? If I kept seeing the numbers 1:11, and now I know it was Hebrews 11:1, and I just knew instantly and immediately. And I thought, well, then wonder what Hebrews 11:11 says. And I kid you not, Hebrews 11:11 says, and by faith, even Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was enabled to bear children because she considered him faithful who made the promise. I could not believe it. I had just said that prayer a couple of weeks earlier. I had been looking at this number 1:11, 11:11 for at least a year. It had gone on for a long time. And all of a sudden, the answer was right in front of me. And it was like, God is wanting me to have faith. God is wanting me to have faith, and God is trying to show me that things are going to be okay. I'm not too old. It's not too late, and it's not been too many years, okay? So my mom, I kept seeing the number even after that. I mean, it never went away. For the last year, it's just been over and over and over again, to the point that the night before my mom died, my brother and I were watching television. She was in hospice care in the other room. And my brother said, Laurie, what time is it? Well, I paused the TV, and we were 1 minute and 11 seconds in, and I looked at the clock, and I said, it's 11:11 p.m. The night before my mom died, God was saying, I need you to have faith. I need you to have faith, and I need you to trust that you're going to hold that baby. So after my mom died or whatever, the number started coming up even more frequently. I mean, it was like no matter where I looked, I seemed to see the number. And no, I was not psychotic. I was not delusional. I wasn't just seeing things. I mean, it was just all the time. And it was like on a mailbox, or it was at a store, or wherever I went, there the number would be. And I remember that's part of what has been kind of carrying me through, is thinking, Laurie, God told you to have faith because he knew what you were fixing to go through. Now, is this God testing me? Is Satan attacking me? And that's why everything is happening the way it is? I don't know. But I know that God just kept saying, have faith, have faith, have faith. And remember these Bible verses. I'm giving them to you because he was preparing me for what I'm going through right now. And yet, I have all the faith in the world that everything is possible with God. The angel of the Lord said to Mary, anything is possible with God. Jesus said to the man who asked if he could heal his child, if I can, everything is possible for one who believes. Jesus said, with man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. My situation right now, like with me alone, it's just not possible. But the Bible is telling me that with God, all things are possible. So you would think, like, how on earth, with all of these signs from God, and there have been other signs and there has been more, but this happens to be about Hebrews 11:1 and 11:11. Everything's showing me, like, you need to keep faith in God. Trust God, period. You would think that I wouldn't have any doubts. Like, okay, I'm going to do what my therapist says, and I'm going to go to the job center, which I have been, go to the job center and try to find a part-time job. I'm going to look at housing, which I have been, try to find another place to live. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and give God the opportunity to shut the doors or open the doors or bring me an opportunity or lead me in the right way. But I know that God is going to get me through this because he's been getting me ready for the last 2 years. And yet when you're in the middle of it, and you're feeling the weight of the loneliness and the depression and the anxiety and the fear, and your mental health is not under control, and you're struggling to do the things that you need to do, it is harder than you think to have that type of faith, because I know how much God has allowed me to struggle in the past. I know what he has allowed me to go through. And my question is, at what point is he going to rescue me? Or am I going to be the person that is not rescued? God allows people to get sick and die. And then there are other families that have just as much faith and pray, and God chooses to save that person. And you would think that because of these verses, I would be like, God has chosen to save you for some reason, because there's stories about that too, where he's actually saved my life. And it's like, so maybe God really was just getting you prepared. You're going to get through this. Everything's going to be okay. And you just keep the faith. But man, I can't tell you when you're actually in the circumstances how hard it is to keep that faith. So all I can do is practice. All I can do is turn it over to God. All I can do is try my best. But you don't always know how God is going to answer the prayer. And we're supposed to have faith in all things, right? So I don't really know, but that's my story of Hebrews 11:1 and 11:11. I think it's the coolest story ever. And I think it would be great if I just had that much faith. Like, wow, God's got this. But I struggle. So anyway, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. And if you wouldn't mind, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.